In the 8th episode of Your Friends and Neighbors, titled, When Did We Become These People?, we witness a pivotal scene that perfectly encapsulates the episode's central theme of identity transformation and self-reflection. The confrontation between Felix and an unnamed visitor serves as a microcosm for the larger questions the show explores about how people evolve or devolve over time, often without realizing the extent of their transformation until confronted with its consequences. The scene begins innocuously enough with Felix watching a soccer match, commenting that Ecuador is kicking our ass. This casual opening belies the tension that quickly emerges when the visitor presents money, stating, "That's everything Chivo owes you." What follows is a masterclass in power dynamics that directly connects to the episode's provocative title question. As Felix examines the payment with deliberate slowness, itself a power move designed to establish dominance, we begin to see the person he has become, someone who relishes control, who expects deference, and who views relationships through a transactional lens. His dismissive, "That's good," carries an unspoken assertion of authority, suggesting he's doing Chivo a favor by accepting what's rightfully his. Felix's follow-up comment, "I didn't know housekeeping paid so well," reveals a casual cruelty and classism that likely developed over time. This needlessly condescending remark about Chivo's profession suggests Felix has become someone who reinforces social hierarchies, who needs to remind others of their perceived lower status to maintain his sense of superiority. We're left wondering, was Felix always this way, or did he gradually transform into someone who derives satisfaction from these subtle put-downs? The visitor's unexpected retort, "I could put you on if you want," creates the first crack in Felix's facade of control. This response indicates they've become someone who no longer accepts Felix's dominance without question, who has developed the confidence to push back against condescension. This small act of defiance foreshadows the larger power struggle to come. When a visitor attempts to conclude the transaction with "we good," Felix's response of "till next time" reveals his expectation that their arrangement will continue indefinitely. He has become someone who assumes permanence in his power relationships, who cannot conceive of others evolving beyond his influence. The visitor's firm declaration, "no next time," Chivo doesn't work for you anymore, therefore comes as a genuine shock to Felix's system, challenging the identity he has constructed for himself as someone whose authority remains unquestioned. Felix's indignant response, "You hand me a bag of money, and you think you can talk to me like that?" perfectly connects to the episode's title. He's become someone who believes financial transactions purchase not just goods or services, but also emotional deference and psychological submission. The question he's essentially asking is, who do you think you've become that you can speak to me as an equal? Meanwhile, the viewer is asking, when did Felix become someone who equates payment with perpetual subservience? The visitor's plea of "please, Felix" suggests they recognize the dangerous territory they've entered. They become someone caught between their past role as a subordinate and their present attempt to establish independence, a transitional identity that embodies the episode's central question. Felix's bombshell response, "I changed your diapers," represents the episode's thematic heart. This statement reveals not just their shared history, but how Felix has become someone who weaponizes past care to maintain present control. He views his previous caretaking not as freely given assistance, but as creating a permanent debt that can never be fully repaid. When did Felix become someone who keeps such meticulous emotional ledgers? When did acts of nurturing transform from expressions of affection into tools of manipulation? His follow-up threat, "Be very careful how you talk to me," further cements Felix's identity as someone who resorts to intimidation when his authority is questioned. The visitor's response, "This is me being careful," shows they become someone with the courage to stand firm despite Felix's attempts to reassert control. This exchange perfectly embodies the episode's exploration of how people can become unrecognizable to themselves and others over time. Felix's parting shot, "Say hi to your mother," appears superficially polite but carries ominous undertones, suggesting he's become someone who views family connections as potential pressure points to exploit. This seemingly innocuous farewell reveals a person who has internalized a worldview where personal relationships serve strategic purposes rather than emotional ones. This entire interaction serves as a perfect microcosm for the episode's central question: when did we become these people? Each character in this brief scene demonstrates aspects of identity transformation that they themselves might not fully recognize. Felix has become someone who expects permanent deference based on past relationships. The visitor has become someone willing to challenge established power dynamics despite potential consequences. The unseen Chivo has apparently become someone seeking independence from exploitation. What makes this scene particularly powerful is how it suggests these transformations happen gradually, almost imperceptibly. Felix doesn't seem to recognize how his behavior might appear tyrannical to others. To him, it's simply the natural extension of established relationships. The visitor seems somewhat surprised by their own courage in standing up to Felix, suggesting they haven't fully integrated this newfound independence into their self-concept. Neither character set out to become who they are in this moment. Their identities evolved through countless small choices and interactions over time. This power struggle connects to similar transformations happening with the episode's main characters. Coop's efforts to get back what he's lost suggest he's become someone he doesn't recognize or approve of, someone distanced from his authentic self. His boys' night with Nick and Barney likely serves as an opportunity to reconnect with earlier versions of themselves, to remember who they were before they became these people. The clash between Mel and Sam similarly reflects how relationship partners can gradually evolve in ways that create fundamental incompatibilities, leaving both wondering when and how they became so misaligned. The episode's title question encourages viewers to consider their own transformations as well. We all experience moments of dissonance when we realize our actions or attitudes don't align with our self-perception. We catch glimpses of ourselves in metaphorical mirrors or in others' reactions to us and wonder, when did I become this person? How did I evolve into someone capable of behaviors I once would have condemned? These questions aren't necessarily about dramatic moral failings, but about the subtle, incremental shifts in identity that accumulate over time until we wake up one day as people we hardly recognize. Felix's power struggle embodies this universal experience perfectly. He likely didn't set out to become someone who exploits others and demands permanent submission. The visitor didn't plan to become someone who challenges authority figures from their past. These transformations happened gradually through patterns of behavior that solidified into character traits and relationship dynamics. The confrontation we witness represents the moment when these evolved identities clash, forcing each character to reckon with who they've become. What makes this theme particularly compelling is its ambiguity. The episode doesn't suggest a simplistic moral where becoming these people is inherently good or bad. For Felix, his transformation into someone who wields power callously represents a negative evolution. For the visitor, becoming someone with the courage to stand up to manipulation represents positive growth. For Chivo, who remains unseen but whose decision drives the scene, becoming someone who breaks free from exploitation is presumably empowering. The episode acknowledges that change itself is neutral. What matters is the direction of that change and whether it aligns with our core values. Throughout the remainder of the episode, we likely see the main characters wrestling with similar questions about their own evolutions. Coop's boys' night probably involves reminiscing about who they used to be, confronting how they've changed, and considering whether they've become people they're proud to be. Mel and Sam's clash likely centers on how they've grown apart rather than together, becoming versions of themselves that struggle to coexist harmoniously. These parallel narratives reinforce the central theme embodied in the Felix confrontation. Identity is not static, but constantly evolving, sometimes in directions we neither intend nor recognize until forced to confront them. The power struggle scene also illustrates how our transformations affect others. Felix's evolution into someone who demands perpetual deference creates ripple effects through his relationships. Chivo's decision to break free from Felix's influence forces the visitor into their confrontational role. Our becoming these people, whoever these people may be, never happens in isolation. Our transformations shape and are shaped by those around us, creating complex webs of cause and effect that can be difficult to untangle. Another connection between the Felix power struggle and the episode's title lies in the role of awareness. The title question, "When did we become these people?" implies a moment of recognition, of seeing oneself clearly, perhaps for the first time in a long while. Felix seems largely unaware of how his behavior might appear tyrannical to others. He's internalized his role as someone deserving of deference to such an extent that he's genuinely shocked when it's challenged. This lack of self-awareness contrasts with whatever realizations the main characters experience during their respective storylines, suggesting that consciousness of our transformations is the first step toward intentionally shaping who we become next. The scene setting during a soccer match adds another layer of symbolism. Felix's casual comment about Ecuador kicking our ass suggests he identifies with a team that's losing, perhaps reflecting his own sense of declining control or status. Sports represent structured competition with clear winners and losers, reflecting Felix's binary worldview, where relationships are hierarchical rather than mutual. This contrasts with the messy, more nuanced ways people actually relate to each other, ways that the episode's main characters are presumably exploring through their own experiences. By the scene's conclusion, each character has revealed aspects of who they've become through their words and actions. Felix has shown himself to be someone who uses past care as emotional leverage, who expects permanent deference, and who resorts to veiled threats when challenged. The visitor has revealed themselves as someone capable of standing firm against intimidation, who prioritizes Chivo's freedom over their own comfort, and who has outgrown previous power dynamics. These revelations connect directly to whatever self-discoveries await the main characters as they navigate their own relationship challenges and identity questions. As the episode progresses beyond this scene, viewers are invited to track how its thematic concerns manifest across different relationships and situations. The power struggle between Felix and the visitor serves as a lens through which to view the other characters' journeys of self-discovery and transformation. By establishing the episode's central question so clearly through this microcosm, the writers create a framework for understanding the various ways people can become unrecognizable to themselves and others, sometimes for better, sometimes for worse, but always with profound implications for their relationships and sense of self. The ultimate connection between the Felix power struggle and the episode's title lies in its universal resonance. Everyone has experienced moments of wondering when and how they became the person they currently are. Everyone has been surprised by their own capacity for behavior they once couldn't have imagined. Everyone has looked back at earlier versions of themselves with some combination of nostalgia, regret, pride, and bewilderment. By dramatizing this universal experience through specific characters and conflicts, Your Friends and Neighbors transforms a personal question into a shared exploration of human growth and change, one that invites viewers to reflect on their own ongoing transformations.